So here we are for another episode of my Hermetic Debates, the videos with which I accompany the Kickstarter campaign of my book Hermetica Eretica Erotica per la generazione abbandonata. You may be asking why I'm talking in English. There is a good reason, because today's guest actually will be talking in English because he's from Hungary, and it's Martin, introducing Martin Cserpák from Budapest.
Hello everyone. Hello Alex. Thank you for this. Thank you for this podcast. For the invitation.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm from Hungary and I'm studying art and design management. But I also have a degree from film and media, so I'm also working in the film industry and also in the art and cultural management area. Okay. It's kind of a hard thing to find your way during the nowadays.
Yes, but in fact, that's why I called you, because me and Martin knew each other when I was studying in Eger for my Erasmus, and actually it was a very fun thing because I wasn't doing that much. I mean, I was just watching movies on my own in the night, every night in the hall of the dorm, because there was this big, wonderful TV. And one night I was watching a Riser 4, if I remember well.
Yeah, the 4.
What a crap movie it was, by the way. And then Martin comes back from the local pub, Biborosh, if I remember well. And yes. And finds me there watching a Riser 4 in the dawn of the university, and then we started to talk about it, and we became friends, and we watched a lot of movies together, and then since he was studying cinema, and I know that he wrote some script, he's now working as a photographer and is keeping on studying arts. I thought, okay, it might be interesting to include him too as a guest in these debates. So I thought about talking with you of society, because I know that in your works, I mean, I saw your photos that you post on your social profiles. You are specialized in urban photography, and if I'm correct, and yes. And you also had a wonderful project that I know of called Visfény, if I remember well.
Visfény, yes.
Visfény, okay, it's right. And if you want to tell us more about it, so we can start the conversation from there.
It was a kind of interesting project. When I just moved up to Budapest, I realized there is a lot of people there. You know, in Hungary, we can say there is only one big city, just Budapest. The other ones are kind of small. And I realized that there is a lot of reflections in the city, like glasses, windows, and things like this. So I started to take photos during this kind of reflections. Also, Visfény means reflection. And I realized one thing. During my BA studies, I had a teacher who said, for the camera, he said every time, this is a weapon.
A weapon?
Like a weapon. Like, imagine this thing, that you are just facing an MA1 Garand machine gun, not machine gun, yeah, an MA1 weapon. Yeah, you're facing a gun. You can't be natural. You can't acting like natural, because something is in point of view, and you can't be natural. It's the same with the camera. You can't be normal if somebody just looking through the viewfinder. And I realized that there is a very easy thing to jump out from this situation if I just trying to looking through the reflections. Okay. Like it's really easy when you are in a train at night. Everything outside is dark. and everything is reflecting back to from the windows. So you can really easily take pictures from people that you are just taking the picture directly to the window, and they didn't realize this. So this is the reason why I started to take this kind of photographs from the reflections, because they can't realize that I'm taking pictures. And it's not kind of a pipe show, or what can I say? It's really about that I wanted to find the real natural.
Oh no, you're stuck. Okay, no, we lost like 5 seconds. You said you wanted to find the real natural
of the people.
Okay, the real natural of the people. Okay, okay, very cool. But now I'm wondering, did you ask the permission afterwards to publish these photos, or no?
Never.
And is it legal in Hungary? Because I think in Italy it's not.
Also in Hungary, it's not legal. You know, it could be very hard question. So it's not legal in Hungary.
Okay.
But if you are just trying to thinking about this kind of stuff, that okay, I take a great picture, I should ask permission. Well, legally you should. But it's a really hard stuff, and you can just simply stuck in a great project when somebody just said that, okay, it's a great picture, but I don't want this.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, I'm not selling my art like this kind of pictures. I'm not selling for galleries. It could be hard if you sell your stuff. But you know what I think about Hungary? It's very funny. Because I think mostly the people are not so interested in contemporary art, especially in contemporary photography. So you can do these pictures without this, and you can sell this, and they never gonna realize, and nobody gonna say nothing. This is the situation.
Okay. But this is very interesting, because I remember we already had this talk. I remember we talked in the past about how art is perceived in Hungary, and the fact is that I have a totally different perception of it. Every time I come in Hungary, I see art everywhere, and I mean everywhere. I mean, even in Budapest in particular, you have. That entire district, you know, the Mupa, you know that I love it. So like a triple museum, and all these concert halls everywhere. And so every time I come in Budapest and I see this stuff, I have the perception of a city which is very much aware of the cultural its cultural production. Okay, so there is a lot of contemporary art, there are a lot of artists, and people apparently is interested in it, because I never saw so many museums and so many concert halls and so much stuff like I saw in Budapest. Now, okay, Budapest is a capital city, of course, and my town here, Reggio Emilia, is not, and even Bologna is not. But Bologna is one of the main cultural cities in Italy, anyway. In fact, the main university course, the one that I did in Italy, is there, and still there isn't that much stuff. And another thing that I loved in Hungary was the low prices of these events, like, I don't know, the art exhibitions, classical music concerts, jazz concerts, contemporary circus events. I mean, they cost like a few bucks. They cost like 100 times less than okay, 100 no, but like 10 times less than in Italy. And so here, I mean, I know a lot of people who doesn't go that much to theater, for example, because it's really expensive. Like sometimes you even pay more than 50 euros to go to the theater, much more than 50. Well, I remember going to see a a ballet ah, by Tchaikovsky in the Opera House of Budapest, which is one of the main ones in the world. And I paid like €5 to go in the upper tribune balcony, and it was full of young people. I mean, you'd never see that stuff in Italy. In Italy, nobody below 50 years old habitually goes to theater.
Of course, yeah. I really don't want to say that nobody is interested in Hungarian art. In Hungary, nobody is interested about the culture and the art. Of course, because everything is concentrating mostly for the capital city, to Budapest. Yes, you can find a lot of people there who is just moving around the cultural stuffs. But sometimes in the rural parts, we can say there are much more problems. Can you remember when we went to Miskolc, to my hometown?
Yes,
it's an industrial city. Yes, the film festival. Now it's also it's called Jamison Cinefest. Now I think it's called just Cinefest. It's a really great festival in Europe. There is a lot of great movies. And a lot of people just came there to my kind of small town, or not small, but an industrial town. A lot of people came there because of this festival. And during these weeks, there is a lot of guests. So yeah, the problem is in Hungary, I think we should find some kind of solution to bring people through the culture in our cities. And also we need to find this kind of problem, that solve this kind of problem, that we should involve the local people into art, like contemporary paintings and things like this. That it's really great when a local gallery just can bring people to an exhibition.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the festival, and it was super nice, in fact, and I think it took place in a cinema which had several halls, or several.
Yes.
And I mean, even that one, I mean, Miskolc, I can't remind if Miskolc is bigger than Reggio Emilia. Maybe it's more or less the same. Let me check. It's more or less the same size. And in fact, we have two festivals in this town, but they are continually struggling for budget, for in which cinema we can do it. I mean the stuff of one of those. It's Estasia. It's a festival of it's an Asian film festival, and I mean, I can't tell more just because I can't create more political enemies than we already have. So I can't tell exactly what's going on in my mind in this very moment. But yes, we have a lot of issues too. And yes, in this, it's absolutely correct. I mean, more people must be involved in this. More people must support this kind of activities, and it makes sense that in Hungary is the same. Now,
can I ask you a question?
Ask me.
Why is the price of the theater and the cultural stuffs in Italy is so high? I mean, why? I mean,
I have no clue. It's I'm not the right person to ask this too, because I'm not into the theater world, so it's hard to explain. I always wondered, but I mean,
maybe
every time I see
reason because Italy is much more. It's much more in the point of interest of the tourists, and maybe this is the reason.
I don't know. I think it's a classist thing. I think it's a cultural. I think it's a cultural issue. Probably since there are a lot of older people which are rich going to the theater, but only them. Probably if they drop the prices, they will need a lot of time for young people to go to the theater. So there will be a time in which they don't gain enough from the ticket. This is my theory. Like it's a sort of market dead end. Okay, if they drop the prices, they have too few people going there and they can't pay for it. This is one idea I have. Second, probably there is some financial thing. I don't know. Maybe in Hungary, for example, I have no clue, but it's possible that this kind of cultural places receive some kind of aid from the government, money.
Yes,
I don't know.
yes.
In Italy, they do, but it's possible that they receive much less than that. And maybe there are more taxes, for example, and so probably it's a totally different system. But every time I go to the cinema, to the theater, I mean, of course, there are also little theaters. There are also smaller events, but you won't happen to go to see something by a big company and pay less than 50 euros in a big theater. But you pay also much more depending on where you are on where you are sitting. This in my city, I mean. I remember once I was trying to go to see a ballet, Romeo and Juliet, by a local company, which is Ater Balletto. It's quite famous in the world too. And it's a ballet company which is based in Reggio Emilia, and they were doing an exhibition in Milan, in the Teatro della Scala. And I happened to be in Milan, and then I discovered they were doing this ballet, and I said, okay, let's go there. And I think the price was like 3 digits. I have this memory of it costing at least 100 euros, maybe because only the frontal places were remaining. I don't know. And there are, maybe there are ways to pay less, but I don't know them. And so it's a totally different culture about it, I believe, and probably they don't have a clue about how to solve this. One of the other guests in this series of videos, Leonardo Sbabo, is a performance artist now living in Berlin, and he told me that when he was living in Bologna, he was part of a group which was trying to change the perception of these cultural events in younger audiences, and they found a lot of resistance by anyone, by the owners of the theaters too, and then by the politicians. So it's yeah, don't ask me.
We are in a very lucky situation in Hungary, because if you're studying in an art university, you can go for a lot of exhibition for free. And also there is it's a funny thing, like I'm studying in Mome, the university, and like if you go to a theater, it's called Pesti Magyar Színház. It's not the point, but if you go there, and there are free places, because not all the tickets are sold, you can go there for free if you just show up your student ID card. Students, yes, you have student cards. So we are in a very lucky situation in the cultural way, that we can go for really cheap to exhibitions, and there is a lot of place where we can just go for free.
Okay, so just to prove to have some sources, okay, I went on the website of Teatro alla Scala where you were talking, and I took a random event. Also, the number of events is much smaller, because I remember that MUPA, you go there every day. There are like 3 concerts, one some exhibition. I don't know. Teatro alla Scala, once every 3 days they have one single show. I took the concert of the resident orchestra, so the music, just orchestra. I clicked buy ticket, and the less expensive one is 95 euros. With that price, you can pay a plane ticket to Budapest from Bologna. I can go to MUPA and see 3 events and then come back and I pay more or less the same.
Well,
fucked up.
It's kind of interesting stuff, you know. Italy is a very cultural place, a very cultural country in the world. But well, you know, it's kind of a problem if you are just taking your prices too high. It's gonna be for the one kind of really one kind of oh, I'm sorry, I didn't use my English in the last few years. So it's gonna be concentrating to the upper class.
Yes.
And I think art is not about doing some fancy stuffs to the upper class.
Absolutely. By the way, okay, I checked better, and I opened, you know, the map of the theater where they tell you which place costs how much. And okay, there is like the upper gallery with written limited view, so probably you don't see well. Okay, that one costs 18 euros, and then the following floor is 66. Okay, and no, fourth floor you don't see well, it's 18. 47, 66 euros. And then it's 95 euros from the tribune, and in the middle of the theater is 114. I don't know. Yes, the consequence is that art is for the rich. Clearly.
Of course. Yeah, maybe art is for the rich, but in Hungary it couldn't work. That if it's too expensive. It's interesting. But I have a close friend.
Yes.
Yeah, she's studying theater theoretic.
Okay.
And she spent a lot of money for tickets. Okay. I mean, you studying this, you should pay a lot of money for this, and it could be also high. Try to imagine this, that in Italy, maybe you are studying theater, some kind of related to theaters, and you need to go there to get this kind of experience, and you should pay a lot of money.
Well, I don't know. Probably they have some kind of discounts as well in Italy. I mean, probably. I remember when I was in Bologna, there was a discount for the students, but only in some concerts in a certain theater. So probably I can imagine that those who study theater in Milan might have some kind of discount if they want to go to La Scala, to Teatro La Scala, to see some show. But only there. I mean, there is not, in general, a common politics concerning giving students more access to cultural events. In reality, usually we are the ones that pay more. I mean, it's rare to see some kind of students discount, even besides cultural and art stuff. I remember when I was in Hungary, I was paying 50% for the train ticket, for example. In Italy, there is not that kind of stuff. You pay full price. You pay less only if you are over 65, usually, which in Italy is pretty common because we are a society of old people. So there is a lot of people having this discount, but not if you are a student. If you're a student, you stick. you pay. And yeah. So I was wondering, what's your impression about this? Since we are talking about society, we're talking about upper society and how it is layered. So we have poor people, there is richer people. I mean, there is a very famous Italian author, Pierpaolo Pasolini, which probably you know because I was the director too. So I guess you were studying his movies. And basically, he says that there is a thing in which capitalism was able to succeed, where fascism was not, and it was in dividing people. Now, what I wonder is, and maybe since you did a lot of urban photography and you portrayed our society and people living in it, you believe that it is more easier today as an artist to portray our society, or it is not? Because of this, because of how we are divided, because of how we are easy to label and to control.
It's a good question, and also a really fucking hard question.
Yes.
Okay, let's speak about this, that we are multi-layered. Of course we are multi-layered. This is the reason why the Google has the system that the Google is trying to find our interests,
yes,
in the world. And this is the beauty in this stuff, not the Google, not this kind of IT companies. The beautiful one is that we are so different, and also the cultural can be really multi-layered. So nowadays the culture is in some kind of crisis, and it could be good, because if you are in a crisis, you should work much more harder. You should rethink yourself. So you should make some kind of new ideas about your own existence. So I think it's not a problem if our culture in a crisis.
Yeah, it's a complex question, because I too don't have a personal view about it. I mean, I wonder, no, if today's society is actually more complex, if there is a crisis, or if we always were in a crisis and the crisis never ends. And personally, I believe that it's true that we are more divided, and this might help, from a certain point of view, artists, because maybe you are trying to portray a certain aspect of being human. Mm-hmm. So living in a society that already divided you in such a way that according to how you live makes it easy to see to see a part of our human being. And it becomes more of an issue when you try to portray society as a whole, because at that point we are so much divided that society is so full of not even differences. It's full of contrasts and nonsense and counter senses, things that clash with each other, that if you plan to film it or to do a book like I'm doing, for example, and becomes really hard to just condense all of these differences that now are so important in a single act, in a single word. And yeah, that's it. One more question that I wanted to. Tell me.
For talking about the multi-layered cultural, it could be very hard to find the really interesting layers of the culture, and it could be very hard to find the problematic layers. Like, just try to imagine that I'm just reading a book about gypsy, like favelas, like in Brazil. It's small villages, but it's not a real village. They are living in a very poor situation. It's from the 80s, and there are a lot of photographies. The writer is made a cooperation with a photographer. It could be very hard to just go for a gypsy, a small village, a small gypsy village, and take pictures about these people. It's a very hard problem in Hungary that from the, I don't know, in the last 100 years, we just try to hide the gypsies. That,
yes,
okay, let's put them together in a small village and that's all. And we don't need to care about this. Of course, we need to care about this kind of things. It could be really hard to find the real real face of this kind of side of the culture, and not just make some kind of kitsch to, okay, let's take some picture about poor people. So it could be a very hard stuff to find this real kind of layers, and also not for an artist, and also for a people, an everyday people, to realize that there are some kind of problem like this.
Yeah, in fact, absolutely, makes sense. So basically, that's it. We talked for half an hour, so the video is needs to be cut somewhere, and it makes sense to do it now because we came to some conclusion. And so, Martin, what does people need to do if they want to stay in touch with you and your projects? Do we have a page, a social page for your photography project?
Yeah, of course. I have an Instagram, and I have also a Behance. I'm gonna send it to you, and maybe you can put out.
I put the link somewhere in the description, in the post. I still don't know exactly how this video will be published. I don't know how it will appear in the campaigns wall. So we will see exactly. But yes, I will link it.
All right.
And that's it. Thank you, Martin, for this talk. It was really a pleasure to have you. Thank you again.